Shalom, 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 man. Sorry for the late intro. Sorry for the late show, man, but it's been a technical difficulty going on my end, man. Every time you get ready to do the show, man, that devil. That devil always shows up at the wrong time. But all praises, glory, and honor goes to the Most High God, man. We got a good lesson today, man. Going into let me make sure it's lock your family. Make sure I got everything going on, man. You know, just you think you have everything going on, but as soon as you start doing class, man, something else pops up. Something else pops up. So we going into Shalom family. Hold on, let me put this Shalaki wrong thing. Put my stuff up. Kind of getting a late start, man. Hope y'all having a blessed day, man. Blessed day out there. Let's see. So yeah, we going into Madonna video she did in 1989, man, like a prayer. And it was controversy, and I, you know, I was around in 1989, and I remember the video, but I remember everything that was surrounding the video. And then I seen Brother Leon on a Tamla Hall show, and he talked about the video, what prompted up me to do a lesson on this video, because yeah, we've been dealing with this society, systemic racism, and sometimes it's subtle. It's very subtle, and we know we go through the whole thing about race doesn't matter. It doesn't blah 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 blah. But we realize that we still hold on to certain ideologies which can be problematic, right? Which can be problematic. So I got it, like I do. For if you guys are new on the show, I always do something that don't have nothing to do with the topic. I was looking at Brother Charleston White. Brother Charleston White had an interesting video for those who might not know him. We're gonna get into Brother Charleston White video, and then we're gonna get into some of the issues that we might be having as a people. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. So we're gonna get into the controversy with the Madonna video, but let's see what Charleston White had to say, and I want to see that you guys agree with the guy. My brother, Shalom, Sister Latasha, Shalom. So let's get into this video real quick. Shalakia family. So this is my brother Charleston White, man. He gonna kick off the video. Fair use. So he had something interesting to say about the Boston shooting and rappers and hip hop. And so we gonna get into the video, and I want to see what you guys think.
See, this what get me, my nigga. You ain't seen a rapper say nothing about that white boy. That 18-year-old white boy shot them 10 black people. Let that have been 10 King Vons. They'll be turned up Buffalo. Let that have been 10 George Floyds. They'll be turned up Buffalo. But them was 10 innocent older people that an 18-year-old white boy drove 4 hours away to intentionally go kill black people with the word "nigger" wrote on his gun. Ain't no rapper mad about nothing. Ain't nobody saying what's his mama's address. Ain't nobody trying to find out where his cousin them live. Nobody, homie. Let that be, no, man. So that's what get me about these niggas. They so gang and so gangster. So we got 18-year-old niggas that's killing. Look what they 18-year-old people killing for. They race. Our 18-year-old niggas just killing our own for nothing. Yeah. No, they 18-year-old way stronger than ours, because they 18-year-olds will come over here and kill 10 hours. We'll kill 12 hours and won't kill none of theirs. So this is what I'm gonna say. We watch 10 black people die every weekend in Chicago. So why y'all playing like y'all mad about what this white boy did? Lions already know what to do when they see gazelles. Gazelles already know what to do when they see a lion. They the lions, we the gazelles. See, this what get me, my nigga.
Well, alrighty then. Shalom, brother Phineas, brother Michael, and brother Dion.
Hey, shalom,
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 family.
family.
Shalom.
Shalom.
So Charleston White said that they the lions and we are the gazelles, man. And so I ran into this video, man, and it's interesting, right? And that's we have these arguments, right? Amongst not just in just the world, even in Israel, is certain things that disconnect black and brown people. And what Charleston White said, does he make a point? Like, and look, man, we are not trying to incite riot on nobody, right? But that's not the point I got from that. I didn't get that he trying to incite riot. He trying to tell us to take a look at ourselves, how we get upset when certain things happen among ourselves, but and when we, with the George Floyd situation, when white folks do stuff to us, woo, you know what I mean? But then we ourselves go and do the same thing to each other, right? And then, we all talk about how tough we is, but then when something like that happened in Boston, New York, where this white dude went in and mowed down like 10 people, nobody, the black church, the black church, the whole the rapper community, nobody has nothing to say about it. You had Amar Stoudemire, he cursed out black people for not supporting what's going on in Israel, when most of the black people don't know what's going on in Israel. They don't understand why the Palestinians and the Israel is fighting, right? They don't understand that. But he had the gall to get out and say, if you black and all this Black Lives Matter, if you don't support them, F you. We'll get so upset when it comes to other people's stuff, but we don't take the same energy when it comes to the stuff that's happening within ourselves. So what do y'all brothers think? Is Charleston White making a point? Is it valid?
I think he's making a point, and he just showing us that we really don't care. To be honest, he's showing us that we really don't care. We don't care. That white boy went in there and shot them folks. Like, it's just a good talk in the morning, but it ain't something we keep keeping us up at night where we sit up here huffing and puffing and crying, going on about these folks being killed. Man, we going on about our day. And really, it ain't even no talking. If it is what it is, if it's war, then it's war, like you're saying. Like, but we like to talk about this stuff and act like we mad, but we not gonna do something. It was a shooting, that last mass shooting, I think it was in Jacksonville,
Jacksonville.
A couple days later, the white supremacists was marching through the city. Wow. Ain't nobody say nothing. They were marching through the city. You had, where they at. They on the news. But nobody about that life. And we just really, and we ain't about that life because we don't care. We don't really care, man. But
yeah, man. All praise. I agree, brother. What do y'all other brothers think, man? Do y'all think Charleston White is making an interesting point about, like Brother Phoenix said, no, y'all brothers don't care. Y'all brothers just blowing wolf tickets.
Hey, Salaki, yeah, I agree with what Brother Phoenix just brought out. Because it's like that scene from the Mac with Goldie. How can a woman take these chances just to give her money to a man? I ain't talking about me, I'm talking about them mother cats. It's like we ain't worried about the stuff going on with us. We more focused on other people and other things. We need to get ourselves fit first and foremost. That's the reason we're in that position. I yield though.
Yeah, come man. Shalom, Brother Dion, man. How was your trip, brother?
Shalom, man. All praises for a safe return. Trip was, it was work. But on this topic, Charleston White be dropping some, he drops some dimes sometime, a lot of time he just talking trash to the younger generation, especially them gangbangers. But this has been a part of our culture for a long time. We only got a few Nat Turners in this generation, and they ain't really exposed themselves yet. But that's really, that spirit that we're missing. And there's a lot of cowards out here too. They talk a good game, and they'd rather kill us than stand up to the mother folks. But I think he got a point as far as when he calls out these young cats for not doing nothing against them. But we'll definitely kill ourselves. So
Yeah, kind man. Yeah, kind. And so I'm gonna play a quick video, man, on some of the violence that's going among ourselves. This is a side note, man. Nothing to do with today's class, but just a side note. Some things, some things like the old Arsenio Hall show, things to make you go, Some things that we just got to look at, man. We huffing and puffing about these, what goes on with, with the police shootings and all that stuff, man. But it's a other side to it that we are not looking at, and so, you can't expect nobody to care about you if you don't care about yourself, man. All right. So let me get this other video.
Black on black crime. You can find it in almost any major city like Chicago, New York, or LA. But Chattanooga is nowhere near the size, nor has the population of those cities. Yet violent crimes by African Americans against each other in Chattanooga, it's just as bad. In part one of his special report, Eric Aubinier takes a deep look into black on black crime and its effect on the African American community. He joins us live in the studio to explain. Eric.
Well, as journalists, it's our job to report what's happening in our community. And unfortunately, we find ourselves covering black on black violence almost every other day. Now, before we begin, you need to know that in this report we're about to show you, it is very raw and emotional with language that some viewers may find offensive. Crime scenes like this one play out almost every week in Chattanooga, and the story is usually the same. Disagreement between two black men or a group of African Americans that leads to violence. Some of the victims live, others die. No one knows this better than Celeste Woods. You see, 9 years ago, her son Damon was shot to death in this East Chattanooga neighborhood. She says she'll never forget that horrible night.
And the next thing I know, I was getting a phone call and said, Damon has been shot, and could you come? And this is the area that I came to. Out here, and when I came, there he was, rope was taped around, and he was lying face down in the street.
To add insult to injury, Damon died on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a day most Americans celebrate a man who stood for nonviolence, a day that carries more meaning for Woods.
And this is what you see, even with the death of Christ, right? You see that people can give their lives for a better life for others when all we do is desecrate their memories by our actions. Like, we have no appreciation how, whether you agree with the King family, whether you say he was this, or whether you agree with the X family, Malcolm X, and you say, well, he was this, but he and Martin Luther King gave us something to that hurt their families forever. 2 men was pulled out of their family lives. 2 men was pulled out from their children not having fathers, and they mothers, the wives not having husbands, and leaders of the community, pillars of the community pulled out. For what? For what? For us to be out here shooting, killing, gang banging one another, man. I'm just saying, just something to think about.
It carries a very strong meaning, that we need to get out and try to march and try to tell somebody, it's not right. It's not right.
The shooting death of her son was the result of an earlier altercation with this man, Alex Smith, whom police later arrested and charged with murder. Current gang task force coordinator Boyd Patterson prosecuted Smith.
That particular case ended with a plea of guilty. to manslaughter and a sentencing hearing. So that's what happened. He could have faced, it was between 6 and 10 years. But after the sentencing hearing, he was given 6 years.
Authorities say much of the violence playing out is gang-related. According to a recent study, blacks make up 89% of the gangs in Chattanooga.
89%. 89% of gang members by race, 89% is blacks.
Followed by whites at 10.5%. And the number of gang-related crimes rose from 127 in 2007 to 500 in 2011. Fred Hauser is the community outreach coordinator for the Gang Task Force. He describes the level of black-on-black violence as an epidemic.
And we're seeing so many black children and mid-age black males and older ones that are being murdered as a result to gang violence and other kind of violence.
So why are we seeing more violence within the black community? And how does a disagreement quickly escalate to the need to attack or shoot someone? For answers to those questions, we turn to a man who has ties to a local gang. Now, in full disclosure, for his protection and the protection of his family, we agreed to alter his voice and not show his face.
So I'm guilty by association, you know what I'm saying? I ain't on no hood, I ain't on no set, but you know what I'm saying? The people that I hang around, you know what I'm saying, who I, you know what I'm saying, kick it with, them my people, you know what I'm saying? Them my folk, them my Kirk niggas, you know what I'm saying? That's how we rock it. So it is what it is.
He says the violence has more to do with personal egos and credibility.
Nowadays, you got to go through more to prove yourself as a man and stand your ground as a man. So a lot of the times, you know, it get carried away real quick, and that's how a lot of this violence and the gunplay coming about.
He says some neighborhoods are war zones, and during a time of war, people get killed.
I don't been standing in the close line of me and you and seen the nigga get shot in the face. So, you know what I'm saying? It's crucial out here.
He also wanted to make it clear to young children to do something with their lives, to become a part of the solution and not perpetuate the problem.
Living this gangbangers lifestyle and the things that come with it, it ain't gonna get you too far, and it ain't gonna get you established in life the way you need to be.
Now, you've just heard how bad the violence is playing out in the streets of Chattanooga. Tomorrow night, in part 2 of this special report, we'll be discussing possible solutions that some say could curb the amount of black-on-black violence we report on a daily basis. Live in the studio, Eric Avignon.
Okay, so we see in Chattanooga, this is some serious pandemic, man. You know, it's a pandemic going on with black killing blacks. And so that's what Charleston White, for me, was getting at. Like, we can kill each other, but nobody says nothing. No rapper says nothing. No entertainer says nothing. Should we be trusting in entertainers? Should we put that pressure on entertainers to be that voice for us? Because I mean, it's about money, right? You know, and so should we be looking at entertainers to be them leaders? Because is an entertainer leader? Is that what they for? Or are they they're in the business to make money? Right? And that's just a question. So y'all better give me 2 precepts real quick. Give me Ecclesiastes, Ecclesiasticus, Sirach 17 and 11, and Deuteronomy 33 and 4 real quick. And then we're gonna get into this Madonna video.
Say Ecclesiasticus or what now?
17 and 11.
All right. It's the book of Ecclesiasticus, Sirach, chapter 17 and verse 12?
11.
Beside this, he gave them knowledge and the law of life for a heritage.
And the law of life for an heritage. Keep reading.
He made an everlasting covenant with them and showed them his judgment. Their eyes saw the majesty of his glory, and their ears heard his glorious voice.
Mm-hmm.
And he said unto them, beware of all unrighteousness. And he gave every man commandment concerning his neighbor. Their ways are ever before him, and shall not be hid from his eyes. Every man from his youth is given to evil. Neither could they make to themselves fleshly hearts from stoning.
And so first of all, Israel was given laws for an inheritance. And so when people tell you that the law of God is done away, you really being disconnected for what God gave you, being disconnected from your inheritance. You know what I mean? Like your father, he was to die, and he gave you certain instructions to attain something, and then somebody else come and tell you, don't do that, don't follow that. You know, that's the Old Testament, because technically it wasn't given to everybody. It was given to Israel. And so Israel is dealing with certain punishment because Israel refused to keep the commandments of God, right? So let's get that in Deuteronomy 33 and 4.
Deuteronomy 33 and 4.
Okay.
Moses commanded us a law, even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob. And he was king in Jeshurun when the heads of the people and his tribes of Israel were gathered together. Let Reuben live and not die, and let not his men be few. And this is the blessing of Judah. And he said, Hear, Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him, and be thou an help to him from his enemies.
And we know that our Lord and Savior came from the tribe of Judah, and he gave Israel a law for an inheritance. This is an inheritance for Israel, and I'm gonna get this in John 7 and 49 real quick. John 7 and 49 real quick. The book of John, chapter 7 and 49, and it reads, it says, but this people who knows not the law are cursed, right? And so these curses gonna pour on Israel until Israel come back to the Most High. All right, what do y'all brothers think about this video, this black on black round? I'm gonna load this Madonna video up. And before I get into it, I'm gonna ask y'all familiar with. I know majority of us older than 1989 when it kicked off. And I'm gonna see, do y'all remember what was going on at that time as it pertains to the Madonna video? But what do y'all brothers think about the black on black crime that's going on in Charlotte and all over the world, man? Atlanta and New York, and especially in California and Louisiana and Florida, all over the world. It's the same old same, man. It's the same song, man. And so we see a pattern, and not only in this country, but you go in Great Britain, you go in Germany, you see blacks doing the same thing. You go into, Haiti, same thing. Bahamas, same thing. It's the same thing when it comes to us. And so what do y'all think about what's going on in Chattanooga, man? I'm gonna pull up this video real quick about Madonna. Any go ahead.
Yeah, I can't remember us not doing it, man, to be honest. I think we know better. I think we've built up a certain fear. And I don't know, man. Like, I haven't seen anything other than that. We could talk about the Nat Turners, but we didn't even want to watch that movie.
I loved it.
We let them tell us to boycott the movie.
Yeah, come.
But I yield, man.
Yeah, come. And look, man, this movie we finna get. I mean, this video we finna go into. It's like a prayer. The name of the song. It was a big hit in 1989, and the backdrop of this controversy is Madonna had. I know y'all brothers familiar with the brother Leon who played in the Fire Heartbeats. When she had this brother in this video, and yeah, he played a significant role, and it was backlash. Anybody remember the video Like a Prayer by Madonna?
Somewhat. Yeah.
Yeah, you remember the controversy?
Shalakia.
I don't.
Okay,
I was gonna say I'll notify when I see it, but it don't ring a bell right now. But if that's it on the screen, yeah, I had to look at it. But on to the point about the black on black crap. I remember us talking about even back when the Romans invaded Jerusalem back in 70 AD. How the Romans didn't have to do much because we was fighting against ourselves, even back then. So yeah, like it's been going on forever, man. So yeah, it's gonna take a super miraculous situation to pull us up out of that thing. How you?
And I'm gonna get the precept for that too, man, because we always talk about foreshadows, right? And you will see things even within the text, and that's why like sometimes it's hard to follow prophecies, because prophecies is not sometimes don't be a single prophecy, but it could be a continuation of a prophecy. So you'll see something happen here, then you'll see it happen over there, then you'll see it happen again. So sometimes one prophecy might happen 3 or 4 times, a foreshadow, right? And so when you get into Ecclesiastes 1 and start at verse 9, it says, the thing that have been is it that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. All this stuff is a foreshadow, and sometimes you'll hear it. Boy, your daddy used to do that. Boy, your mama used to do that. And so you will see things that our forefathers did that will repeat, because there's no new thing under the sun. All this stuff is a foreshadow of things to happen, right? So we're gonna get into this video. It's a big controversy. I got a couple of videos lined up to show you that it's always been the MO of these people, but I digress. I don't want to ruin nothing. So let's get into the video. And really I just pulled this old clip up about it, but it ain't gonna play the whole video. It's just gonna play the parts that what got her in trouble. Here we go.
Controversies when she tried to join the Pepsi generation. In 1989, Madonna signed a multi-million-dollar contract with Pepsi, who agreed to debut her new single, Like a Prayer, on a Pepsi commercial. One day after the commercial premiered, Madonna released a video for the song.
It's one of the heaviest videos she's ever done in terms of the subject matter she's playing with.
With the burning crosses and the bleeding palms and the black Jesus-like figure.
And the black Jesus-like figure. He had a problem even saying that, right? He had a problem saying it, but I digress.
The video itself was enough to shock a lot of people.
I close my eyes. It dealt with a lot of taboos, and it made people afraid.
The video was denounced by religious groups as blasphemous.
She took on a subject that people at the very least think should be respected, even if they don't believe in it. That's where she got herself in trouble, and she got herself in trouble with her sponsors as well.
Madonna's corporate marriage to Pepsi is proving as stormy as her real-life marriage to Sean Penn.
I knew right away that people were not...
See, she kissing the black man's feet. Kissing the black man's feet, right?
Not going to be able to separate the commercial and the song from the video in the song.
Christian groups threatened to boycott Pepsi and put pressure on the...
See that? Christian groups threatened to boycott Pepsi. All right, go ahead.
Company to stop running the ads. Pepsi ran the commercial only twice and officially pulled it off the air a month after its debut.
Pepsi acted in the best interest of their business and pulled the plug.
But the uproar didn't quiet Madonna.
I'd like to thank Pepsi for causing so much controversy.
Like a Prayer spent 3 weeks at #1, and Madonna got to keep close to $5 million from the Pepsi deal.
And she kept $5 million from that deal, man. Right. And so that was the issue with the whole Like a Prayer video, that she was kissing a black man's feet, that she and so it was an issue, and she still wanted to get $5 million from the deal. But is it still blasphemy? What was so blasphemy what she did? Was it the black man? Was it the nails in her hands? Was it, what was it, man? What did y'all see in the video was so blasphemy? Right? What was it, man? So we're going to go to the history of the Catholic Church, because when you understand Catholicism, every church stems from Catholicism. The Protestant church broke up, the great divorce from the Catholic Church around the 15th century. But all that the Catholic Church, which just means universal, all the religions after that point really stems from the Catholic Church, even Islam. Islam is a universal doctrine. That's all Catholic means, universal, right? And so when you understand that a lot of these religions come from the Catholic regime, so some people might call themselves Shalom, brother Jacob. Some people are Shalom, and Shalom, Shalisha. And so some people might call themselves Pentecostal, some people might call themselves Methodist, some people might call themselves holiness, but all that stems from the Catholic Church, right? All that stems from the Catholic Church. So we're gonna get into a little history of the Catholic Church, right? And how they play a role in the transatlantic slave trade, right? So let's get a history of the Catholic Church.
Church and slavery. Some historians argue that if churches had used their power, the Atlantic slave trade might have never occurred. By the same logic, others argue that the Catholic Church and Catholic missionaries could have also helped to prevent colonization and the brutality of colonialism in Africa as a whole. History shows that the Catholic Church did not oppose the institution of slavery until the practice had already become infamous in most parts of the world. In most cases, the church and church leaders did not condemn slavery until the 17th century. The 5 major countries that dominated slavery and the slave trade in the New World were either Catholic or still retained their strong Catholic influences, including Spain, Portugal, France, England, and the Netherlands.
And so what he's saying here is, in the areas where there was predominantly slave owners was coming from these 4 countries, and they was all primarily ran the main religion of those cities was the Catholic Church, right? The Catholic Church was in control, and when we need to do a lesson on the Catholic Church, 15th, 16th century, how dominant and how much control they had over the people.
Pope Pius IX himself said, "Slavery itself, considered as such in its essential nature, is not at all contrary to the natural and divine law, and there can be several just titles of slavery, and these are referred to by approved theologians and commentators of the sacred canons. It is not contrary to the natural and divine law for a slave to be sold, bought, exchanged, or given." The actions of the Catholic Church towards slavery proved to be insincere. History shows that the first extensive shipment of Black Africans that would later become known as the Transatlantic slave trade was initiated at the request of Bishop Las Casas and authorized by Charles V in 1517.
So these was Catholic popes, right? And they initiated and authorized it. And so the reason why I bring this up is because when we have this issue about a black price, right? And a lot of our people come and defend it. It's because of this. It because of doctrination, right? And how much and how long they've been having us under the control of white supremacy. All right, how long they've been controlling us with white supremacy. And until we be total transparency about the history, because look, 2023, I'm gonna show IUIC video about how we still having these arguments about the color of Christ. When I was doing my research, all the image up to like the 3rd century, the 1st century, 3rd century was destroyed around 300 and 5 on up of all the images that was prior to it. The only things that you have that was in the Vatican or the catacombs is the paintings, but all the images was destroyed, right? And when you really look at it, you start seeing when Rome really started having a vice grip on our text. When you look at the Apostle Paul on it, yeah, they was in those areas, but they didn't have control of the text till later on down the line. You know, some people say Paul letters was the first one, but now looking at the data, they say Mark letter was the first one. So it's a toss-up about which is which, but it was important that they had these letters. And I think you're gonna go into that too as well.
Ironically, Catholic missionaries such as the Jesuits who owned slaves worked to alleviate the suffering of Native Americans.
You see that? He said a Jesuit. That's a Jesuit priest. But they own slaves. They own slaves according to him. Go ahead.
And slaves in the New World. While showing mercy to Native Americans, the church placed some books critical of slavery on the index of forbidden books by the Holy Office between 1573 and 1826. Capuchin missionaries were excommunicated for calling for the emancipation of black slaves in the Americas. At various points, the Catholic Church would appease its followers in their conscience by trying to find a middle ground. Because Catholics considered baptized slaves in full communion with the Church, as opposed to some non-Catholic colonies, masters could not kill a slave without first facing murder charges. If able, slaves had the right to purchase their freedom, referred to as an act of manumission. Slaves could not be worked on Sundays or on the 30 Catholic feast days, guaranteeing some days of leisure. Slaves could also join lay Catholic fraternal organizations alongside free blacks. All of these protections perhaps provided slaves in Catholic territories with a degree of protection from the harshness of the dehumanizing experience of slavery.
And see, and that's why they get that in jail, man. When people go to jail, they come out one or two things, either Muslims or Christians, right? Because a lot of that stuff is for protection, especially for the Muslims. It's for protection. And you see here that a lot of people was being indoctrinated in capitalism so they could be protected from slavery. It's the same game, man. Ain't no new thing under the sun, right?
Amazingly, Catholic bishops would publicly condemn slavery, but privately allowed it to continue in colonies that economically enriched the church.
See that? See that privately they were still doing things. They'll publicly say, yeah, slavery is wrong, woo, 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 woo. But privately they were still benefiting from it. The church was still getting money from slavery. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying about proving a friend. We too quick to credit people and their motive. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'd be looking at Dr. Brown, and he'd be like, well, the Israelites weren't black, they were brown. And we got to get into that bias, that racial bias, man, because sometimes we racist and don't even understand it. You know, Israel don't teach that Israel was black as in solely a black skin. Israel teach that Israel come in all shades, all various shades of color. But white supremacists play semantics with words. Right? It's hard for them to say that Christ was a black man. It's hard to say that Israel was black people, right? Even though, and brothers, the people like, well, brothers, Solomon, wisdom of Solomon, Songs of Solomon and all this stuff, we go into that. Yeah, some things will be pulled out of context. But is it, right? But is it? And when I say, but is it, because it's a lot of things about the text that we don't even dive into, right? We look at it only from a current point of view, but we see similitudes. It's in the Bible for a reason, right? But we'll keep diving in it. We'll keep progressing.
Finally, in 1965, the Second Vatican Council declared that forced slavery was an infamy that dishonored the Creator and a poison in society.
This happened in 1965. 1965, 5 years before I was born, right?
The timeline of the Catholic Church at critical points in history, including slavery. In 362 AD, the local council at Angra in Asia Minor excommunicated anyone encouraging a slave to despise his master or withdraw from his service.
This was in 362 AD, right? Almost 330 years later after Christ. And we see the magnitude of this thing being pushed by the Romans. And that's what I'm saying. And so when we understand this, me and Brother Feeney was going at about the images, and we go into the Caesar Borgia image, but it was images way before Caesar Borgia of white Jesus. That wasn't a new concept. Way before the Renaissance. It happened way before the Renaissance. This stuff happened around early 300, right during these same councils when these white images start appearing, right? I think the oldest one is like 310 AD. And that's the oldest picture they got, and of course it's a white image, right? But a lot of those images was destroyed.
Between 354 and 430 AD, St. Augustine taught that the institution of slavery derives from God and is beneficial to slaves and their masters. In 650 AD, Pope Martin I condemned people who taught slaves about freedom or who encouraged them to escape.
And see, it was all from the Roman Catholic Church. I'm just saying. All this came from the Vatican, right? Here we go.
In 1179 AD, the Third Lateran Council imposed slavery on those helping the Saracens. In 1226 AD, the legitimacy of slavery was incorporated in the Corpus Juris Canonicae, promulgated by Pope Gregory IX, which remained official law of the Church until 1913. Canon lawyers worked out 4 just articles for holding slaves: slaves captured in war, persons condemned to slavery for a crime, persons selling themselves into slavery, including a father selling his child or children of a mother who is a slave. Between 1224 and 1274 AD, St. Thomas Aquinas defended slavery as an institution by God in punishment for sin and justified as being part of the right of nations and natural law.
Say it was punishment for what? Sin. What is that saying? What nation was supposed to be punished for sin? What they knew, man. I'm saying what they knew. All right. He said that slavery was a punishment from God for sin. And when you look at the text, the only nation was given a promise to go into slavery by the way of sin was the children of Israel. I'm just saying.
Children of a slave mother were rightly slaves, even though they had not committed any personal sin. In 1452 AD, Pope Nicholas V issued the papal bull Dum Diversas on 18 June 1452. It authorized King Alfonso V of Portugal to reduce any Saracens or Muslims and pagans and any other unbelievers to perpetual slavery. In 1493 AD, Pope Alexander VI authorized the King of Spain to enslave non-Christians of the Americas who were at war with Christian powers. 1494 AD, Pope Alexander VI, in the 1494 Treaty of Tordesillas, divided the known New World between the two countries, as there was a need to locate a group to work in areas where the supply of indigenous labor was insufficient to sustain their colonies, so Spain and Portugal imported Africans. Between 1500 and 1850 AD, 12 million Africans arrived in the Americas to toil as slaves. The vast majority of these slaves worked in the Catholic colonies of Spain and Portugal.
See that? The Catholic colonies of Spain and Portugal, right? That's what I'm saying. And now we go to these churches willfully. Why? Because it's straight up doctrination. Years of doctrination. We defend white Jesus because of doctrination. But I digress.
In 1548 AD, Pope Paul III confirmed the right of clergy and laity to own slaves. In 1866, Pope IX declared slavery itself, considered as such in its essential nature, is not at all contrary to the natural and divine law.
So
the Roman Catholic Church and
so we see why in 1989 with the Like a Prayer video, right? Shalom, brother, how you doing? In 1989, in the Like a Prayer video, we see why they was on Madonna the way they were. The problem was of a black Messiah, and it always have been an issue. Just not nothing new. This is something we've been fighting over for centuries. And why is it? Can white people primarily, can they serve a black Christ? Do you think that they can serve a black Christ? I mean, just say for all intended purposes, we think he were, right? But just say Christ is black, you know. Would white people have a problem of kissing the feet of a black Messiah?
Shalaki.
Go ahead.
Hey, it'll be like the episode of Dave Chappelle, man. When he finally took their Klan hat off. Man, them folk head was exploding and everything, they couldn't take it. I yield though.
Okay. And so we argue about it, and a lot of people say color don't matter. But does it? Does it have, if we be total transparent and when we go over about a lot of the stuff, and there's a lot of moving parts, so we got to put all the pieces together. But if we, right, come to the conclusions that those people in the first century was the so-called African Americans and the Native Americans, would the world be able, and Hispanics, would the world be able to accept it? I'm saying, it's just a question. Would you be able to accept, if you white, would you be able to accept that the people of the land was black and brown people, and all this time you have been mistreating the children of Israel? I'm just saying. All right. So what do y'all brothers think, man? I got some more. Brother Phoenix, Brother Dion, Brother Michael. What do y'all think, man? Would people have an issue of serving a black Christ?
Yeah, of course people will. People will, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, people, people won't. You know what I'm saying? I see white people kissing people's feet today who ain't Christ. I see them kissing Negroes' feet today. To this very day. That's what got me in this thing, is white people kissing jokers' feet.
Brother just looking for some clean boots, man.
Yeah, jokers dirty them up. Jokers dirty them up as much as they can, man. Before they get them kissed, man. They find some dirt. Hold on, man. Wow. You finna get all of us. You finna kiss all of us. And finna kiss my little son boots too.
Yeah.
So I can't, I can't say they, all of them wouldn't, but Some would, but definitely, some not gonna want to do that. Just like the Asians, just changing the changing the text. Just certain things people they not gonna want to deal with. Even though they want to deal with the text, but they want to deal with it the way they want to deal with it. But I yield.
All right. For the Dion, what you think, brother? The brother, what's your name, man? You ain't put your name in there. Put your name in there so I can salute you, brother. But a brother said, I think a lot of them will accept it. It's a small majority that would choose death over a possibility, a possible more righteous world. Okay, I get you, brother. All praises, man. And I agree with the brother, man. Most people will change choose the latter, but I think it will be a small. The text said gonna be a remnant, and then we'll come back to the Most High God, man.
Shalakia.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it might be a little uproar at first, but those that make it that far understand the circumstances and the consequences of not serving a true Messiah. Then I think they'll come to their senses, and it won't be a big deal. But initially, it might be a little shocker. Yeah.
Initially, it might be a little shocker, man. But the text said gonna be a remnant of them will return back to the Most High, and so we know that will happen, right? I can't get that pocket. Okay, so let me play this IUIC video. We're gonna get into a couple of examples of why these things happens, and we see the brother Phineas just went into the Babylonian captivity, and we see in certain captivities we were allowed to do our thing, but then we also gonna see in certain captivities we wasn't allowed to do our thing. And I think that's where America kind of stand in the middle of. Like America done gleaned from the Babylonian captivity, and during the time of the Greeks. And so a period, America will not allow us to read the text, make sure we came away from the laws. Now after we are quote unquote destroyed, now is certain leeway that you could worship what you want to worship and all that, but that stuff came way after the emancipation, right? So let's get into the IUIC, our brother IUIC, man. Shout out to brother IUIC, putting that work in, man, putting the boots on the grounds. But we're gonna get into one of these videos where they was discussing about of course, the image of Christ.
We're trying to show our people that this is our book, but it has nothing to do with the religion that we were given. Right. When they colonized us, when they stole the fruit of our land. You understand? But the question is, why did these things happen to us? Why? What's your name, bro? Best? Best. What about you, big bro? What's your name, bro?
Jesus.
Yeah. Jesus. Real quick before you leave, because we understand.
Jesus. Jesus. Go ahead.
A lot of things happening to the so-called Puerto Rican, so-called blacks. That's not just. It's not fair. Why are these things happening to us? Y'all can step up, man. That's why we got the canopy. If y'all want to, y'all can step up, man.
I'm about to go get something to drink real quick.
I got you, brother.
I'll probably come by. I'll be around here.
Yeah, right before you leave, I just want to show why this is happening so we can change it. So what would you say? Why are these things happening to our people?
To African Americans, or who?
Us, the natives of this land.
Oh, the natives. I'm not sure.
And let me ask you a question. Oh, this is just a question that just hit my mind. When you go into Mexico, right? You see it's a large population of Black Mexicans, and some of them, if you put them next to the so-called African American people, you probably won't be able to tell the difference between the two. And in Cuban too, because like I say, I'm from Miami, and there's a lot of Black Cubans down there. So why does it seem to be so far-fetched if the Bible says that Israel is scattered on the four corners of the earth, right? That we gonna be coming out of these lands. Why is it so far-fetched that the Mexicans cannot be us when you have a large community called Black Mexicans? No different from, Jake being in Japan, or no different from Jake being in, you like got what his name is, Albert, or whatever his name is, the guy, the actor Idris Albert, and so you see that he over there and he British, but he looked like us, and people will identify him with being us, but he actually from England, and so why is it such a separation when it comes to African American so-called and people in indigenous land and people that was indigenous to this land, that is so far-fetched that they could be us as well? Why is it that still animosity? Like people want to destroy the 12 tribes chart. And look, we can dive into what's plausible and what's not plausible. But for me, sometimes it come off more because we saying that Mexican is us, and we saying that Puerto Ricans is us, and we saying that Cuban is us, and we saying these people in these lands are us. And so why is it such a problem to say that these people are us when they went through the same atrocities, or some of the same similar atrocities? Because that's the only way we identify ourselves, by the curses, right? It's just a question, man. Why do we have such a problem with that? Even this brother right here, like who? African Americans or us? Like he can't even see himself as being Black, because it's such a disconnect. We have been stripped away from our heritage. We have been stripped away from our culture. We have been stripped away from our identification, that none of us know who we are and what the heck we like. That song, Michael Jackson, "Where you come from, baby? Ooh, can you take me there?" Like none of us know where we come from, man. But what do y'all brothers think, man? Why is it such a disconnect with that?
I seen this video today where it was a Latino brother. He was saying, man, y'all don't know that, man, we racist against Guatemalans. We don't let them in the border. We don't let them cross our border. And he was like, because of the darkness. He said, I'm only like this because I'm 65% Spaniard. That's the only reason I'm like this. But if you're not tall and light skinned, then you're frowned upon. And so that's why you got a Black Mexico. Before you even get to dealing with an African American, you got Afro, you got the racism between the darker skin and lighter skin in Mexico itself. So they going through the exact same thing. So when you they ain't not affiliating with dark skinned people in Mexico, they definitely not seeing themselves as African Americans or or even Israelites for that matter, because of skin tone being Black. They don't want to deal with that. They don't like Black skin tone. Like you.
Yeah, okay. And so that's what I'm saying, and that's the issue, right? The brother said he might not be on the seed via Patreon. What is that? Patreon. What is that? Patreon lineage? I can't. What is that word? I'm sure a lot of Mexicans aren't deceived. Okay, so he's sure a lot of Mexicans is not deceived, you know. And like I say, that's but the scripture said that Israel on the four corners of the earth. How do we come to that conclusion? Right? How do we come to that conclusion that the Mexicans are not deceived? Right? And see, and like I said, I'm from Miami, and I was brought around Cubans and some Puerto Ricans, and when you be around those people, right, you'll realize that he said even a lot of brothers aren't either. Okay, yeah, see, okay, and so we'll see a lot of those brothers have the same characteristics as us. You'll see the same swagger as us, and so, and this one of the things that you know, the Most High gonna figure out when He sent His only begotten Son, Christ, who is and who isn't. You know what I mean? And so we can get past that, right? But I just wanted the point I wanted to make. I want to keep getting into this topic, Shalakia.
I think everything happens for a reason, and I'm just glad I got the chance to meet Christ and be raised as a Christian also. So everything happens for a reason. I'm not sure. You was raised Christian? Yeah.
And see him say, he said, I'm glad I had a chance to meet Christ. So what is he talking about here? Most Mexicans are Catholics. So what we just got through watching, that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about biblically. He's talking about what he identified as being Christ. Right?
Okay. So is that a cross on your neck, bro?
Oh, yes, it is.
So what we're trying to show is that cross represents white Jesus, whether we know it or not. That cross on your neck is teaching us the same religion that was beaten into us. You understand what I'm saying? Whether it's Baptist, Catholicism, Mormonism, Pentecostal, that cross, and we all was there, bro. But we're walking in the same religions that they came with. Go ahead, read that. 15.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass.
This is prophecy. This is prophecy speaking to one people, the children of Israel.
Right.
Moses is telling us this will come to pass. Read.
If thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
It says that we will not hearken. What's hearken mean? To listen, right? It say if we don't listen to the voice of the Lord thy God, where do we find the voice of the Lord thy God? What would you say? Yeah? Where is the voice of the Lord thy God? Can I get on the phone and talk to God? There you go. It's in the Bible. So this is a prophecy that Moses is giving to who? The children of Israel. Us. That if we didn't listen to the Bible, read,
to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day.
That's the voice of the Lord thy God, the commandments, all his statutes which he gave us. Read.
That all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
And that's what you see. That's what you see, bro. You see curses that happened to us when we was conquered. You see curses. These are so-called Hispanics, right? So-called Puerto Ricans and Indians, the indigenous people. And guess what happened? They were enslaved. They were enslaved just like so-called blacks. You know why? Because we the same people.
Right.
We the same people, bro. Hey, look on this side, bro. Real quick. What would you identify with, bro? You so-called Puerto Rican, right? You was born in Puerto Rico. Okay. So you would be from the tribe of Ephraim.
Right. That's right.
Biblically, you are God's chosen people from the tribe of Ephraim.
Right.
You know, and based on
when you look at a lot of those slave ships, right? You look at a lot of those slave ships. A lot of those slave ships went into a lot of these areas, right? a lot of those slave ships, like, went into those areas when they was coming from the west coast of Africa. We did this exhibit one time, and they was going to talk about the route. I think Tabby Smiley did it some years ago, and it was going to talk about the route of the slave ships, and they was showing the route of the slave ships and where the slaves was being dropped off at, and a lot of these slaves was being dropped off in Puerto Rico. A lot of those slave ships was getting dropped off in the Dominican Republic, in Haiti, in Jamaica, and that's what I'm saying. And so when we say that these people are not us, but the slave ships people was dropped out, but people like this dude right here was born, he was raised in Puerto Rico. If he came from the west coast of Africa, does that not make him us? Because he was born in Puerto Rico? All right, the slave ships is documented that it was going into these areas. Right, I understand the Spaniard captivity, but but even in the transatlantic slave trade, a lot of them was getting dropped off in those areas on their way to the Americans, man. Right, and so I'm gonna keep going.
Reading the prophecy that would happen to the so-called Puerto Ricans. That's how we know. That's how we know who we are.
I'm gonna kind of
understand?
A little bit.
So what brought? Right. This is why we are. Thus saith the Lord God. Okay, so my question is that true? Yeah, or is it accurate?
Not even from what I read in the Bible.
Okay, bring it out. So
let's see.
What would you say, sister? Is it okay if she answers? Is this your daughter or? Okay, what would you say, sister? What Jesus Christ look like? Like this, right? Okay. So my question is that true? Yeah. Or is it accurate?
Not even from what I read.
So you talking about the color of Christ? Is it accurate?
In the Bible.
Okay. Bring it out. So what? Okay. So what does the Bible say Jesus Christ look like?
They're like wool and like bronze.
Okay, so somebody been lying. Why is this image pushed everywhere?
Right, bring it out.
If we know that scripture. Right. Yeah. Hey, if you go on Google right now, if y'all got Google right now and type Jesus Christ, what's gonna pop up? It's gonna be 2.7 trillion images of that. But yet, you telling me Christ had hair like wool. You understand? So let me ask you, if I asked you to prove that, where can we read that?
What I said?
Yeah. Where? Okay, we're gonna get it for you. We're gonna get it for you.
I'm not that.
No, it's okay.
All right, man. So we know IUIC stance on that. So now here's where it came from, and now here in 2023, this is where we at as it pertains to the color of Christ. We're gonna get into a couple of texts, but thus far, man, does the color of Christ matter? Does it matter? Does it matter who the children of Israel is? Does it matter what color they were? Are we just blowing smoke? All right, I'll get y'all brothers to pull a couple of precepts in right quick, and then we're gonna be out of here. We'll be at an hour and 9 minutes. So what do your brothers think? Does the color matter? Does color matter? Does the color of Christ matter? And is that what drove you into the truth? Because you heard that Christ was black, disciples black, the angel black, like CD4, I'm black, y'all, I'm black, y'all, I'm black, I'm black, y'all. Did that draw you in? Or was it the spirit that pulled you in? What y'all think, man?
It depends on, it matters if you're trying to identify the people.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, I don't think it holds like heat. It holds a lot of reverence because he knew that dude who was at the IUIC. He didn't know much else about the Bible, but he did know that Christ, the hair with wool. He've heard that before. The hairs with wool and the feet bronze. So him knowing that, and knowing nothing else, like what did that what did that do for him? And a lot of times that's where that conversation ends. Like he walks away, or he learns he's the people, and then he can start delving more. But he did know that. He did know that information. Madonna knew that information. So the information was out there. The information been out here. So I don't know the relevance outside of identifying the people, so that you can identify the covenant people and know who they are, and you can be watchful for things to transpire into the next dispensation. But
Yeah, kind, man. And so I agree with you, brother. And that's two different arguments. Like when people say, why do color matters? A lot of times people do that to reflect. They reflecting. They don't want to deal with the true nature of the conversation. So they're like, well, why does it matter? Because if his color you've been lied to by his color, what else you been lied to? And a lot of times we really don't want to have these conversations. So brothers, if you will, brother Dion, brother Mike, y'all got any words right quick, man, before we get into the text?
I hear a lot.
Okay. So let's get in Wisdom of Solomon 14. Let's start at verse 1. We're gonna go into this history of something that happened. I was trying to look up the history and nothing was ever able to come up on it. The Wisdom of Solomon 14. Are you familiar with this history, brother Phineas?
You said Wisdom of Solomon 14?
Yeah, about the king at the untitled definitely made the image of his son.
Nah, I don't know that, but I don't know.
Okay,
Not a Wisdom of Solomon.
Yeah, I was looking up this history, and I wasn't able to find too much. So I don't know if it's a future prophecy or what. I know we use it that way, but for the sake of argument, we're gonna read it and we're gonna kind of see, does it fit the mold of what's going on today? Wisdom of Solomon 14. One of y'all brothers give me that real quick.
It's the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 1. Again, one preparing himself to sail and about to pass through the raging waves, calleth upon a piece of wood more rotten than the vessel that carried him. For verily, desire of gain devised that, and the workman built it by his skill. But thy providence, O Father, governeth it. For thou hast made a way in the sea and a safe path in the waves, showing that thou canst save from all danger. Yea, though a man went to sea without ark. Nevertheless, thou wouldest not that the works of thy wisdom should be idle, and therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood, and passing the rough sea in a weak vessel are saved. For in the old times also, when the proud giants perished, the hope of the world governed by thy hand escaped in a weak vessel, and left to all ages a seed of generation. For blessed is the wood whereby righteousness cometh, but that which is made with hands is cursed, as well lit, and he that made it, he becometh, he because he made it, and it, because being corruptible, it was called God. For the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto God. For that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it. Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation, because in the creature of God there are become an abomination and stumbling blocks to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise.
Okay, and so right here it says, therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles, that's why with Christianity is nothing but idolatry. You got the Easter, you got the paganism in it, and it's all about idol worship. When it first was created, it was all about other deities being implemented. When you go into the councils, it was about trying to make everything harmonized so it won't be all the bickering back and forth about what you can worship and what you can't worship. So Christianity is the modern day version of gumbo, right? It's all in there, right? Whatever you want to put it, just throw it in there, just call it a gumbo, and that's what Christianity is. And it says, therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation, because in the creature of God, they are becoming an abomination and stumbling block to the souls of men and a snare to the feet of the unwise. And that's what happens with these idols. They become stumbling blocks and souls of men. Go ahead. Of souls of men. Go ahead.
Verse 13. For neither were they from the beginning.
Verse 12. Verse 12.
Verse 12.
Okay.
For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them, the corruption of life.
And so when you go into Acts real quick, when you go into Acts 15 and starting at verse 17, and it told these Gentiles what they had to start doing is they can't have pollution of idols. And because that was always the Gentiles' MO. When you understand the Greeks, when you understand the Babylonians, some of them, a period they went into, monotheism. But for the most part, a lot of them deal with polytheism. A lot of them had multiple gods. And so, and then if they were serving one God, it wasn't the Most High God. It wasn't the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And so, verse 12 say, for the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication. And that's because we got to understand the Most High say he's our God, he's our husbandman. And so when we start messing with these other idols, then it almost like we cheating on our God. Same thing on a wife or a husband. So that's what that's going into. Verse 13.
For neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever. For by the vain glory of men, they enter into the world, and therefore shall they come shortly to an end. For a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he hath made an image of his child, soon taken away, now honor him as a God, which was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices.
Ceremony and sacrifices. And so we'll pull that precept and referring to Pope Alexander, the 8th Pope of Rome. And so, sometimes we pull that precept for that. But like I said, I try to look for some history on that, trying to dig more. I'm gonna keep digging and see what I come up with. But so far, I wasn't able to find nothing pertaining to this. So, right now I just look at it as a future prophecy or a prophecy that was going to happen at the time it was being written, Shlakia. And so, that's where we at with that. Verse 16.
Thus, in process of time, an ungodly custom grew strong, was kept as a law, and graven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings.
By the commandments of kings. And so we see that with the image of Christ. Right? We see that graven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings. And Christopher Columbus came over here from historians, said that the thing he brought was the Bible, the image of Caesar Borgia and a sword, right? And so and we see the Jesuit priests, a lot of those Jesuit priests who was coming off them slave ships, they was pushing Christianity, they was pushing the image of Caesar Borgia. And if a lot of us didn't accept that image, we was put to death. Verse 17.
Whom men could not honor in presence, because they dwelt far off. They took the counterfeit of his visage from far, and made an express image of a king whom they honored, to the end that by This their forwardness, they might flatter him and was absent, as if he was present.
Go ahead.
Also, the singular diligence of the artificial did help to set forward the ignorant to more superstition.
Mm-hmm.
For he peradventure, willing to please one in authority, forced all his skills to make the resemblance of the best fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And so the multitude, allured by the grace of the work, took him now for a god, which a little before was but honored as a man.
As a man, right? Go ahead.
And this was an occasion to deceive the world. For men, serving either calamity or tyranny, which subscribe unto stones and stock and a incommunicable name. Moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of God, but whereas they lived in the great war of importance, those so great plagues called they peace. For while they slew their children in sacrifices, or used secret ceremonies as made revealing of strange rites, they kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled, but either one slew another treacherously, or grieved them by adultery.
And so you'll see in Hebrews, is that in Hebrews? Salakia, yeah, Hebrews 11, when it says that the bedroom is undefiled, but whoremonger God will judge. And we'll see that in the text about when it says they keep neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled, right? But either one slew another, treacherously, tirelessly, or grieve him by adultery. And see, that's what happens. That's what you see even in the first century, that a lot of this stuff was happening, and Christ was speaking on it, and also Apostle Paul was speaking on it as well, and the rock Peter was as well. Verse 25.
So that there reign in all men without exception blood, manslaughter, theft, and dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumult, perjury, disquieting of good men, forgetfulness of good terms, defiling of souls, changing of kind, disorder in marriages, adultery, and shameless uncleanness.
Go ahead.
For the worshiping of idols, not to be named, is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil.
And see, and that's what we got to understand. And that's why we go so hard on false doctrine. We go so hard on idol worshiping, because idol is it says, verse 27, for the worshiping of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. Right? Of all evil. This is the beginning and the end of all this stuff, right? And this is where this stuff come from. Why people be like, no, celebrating Christmas, ain't nothing wrong with that. And then you celebrate Christmas that day. Then the following year, all hell breaks loose. All stuff be happening to your children, right? Stuff be happening to your nephews and nieces and all this stuff the next year. Because why? Because that's the beginning of all evil. When you start letting these deities in, there's no turning back. All right, go ahead.
Verse 28. For either they are mad when they be married, or prophesy lies, or live unjustly, or else lightly forswear themselves. For insomuch as their trust is in idols, which have no life, though they swear falsely, yet they look not to be hurt. Howbeit, for both causes shall they be justly punished, both because they thought not well of God, giving heed unto idols, and also unjustly sworn in deceit, despising holiness. For it is not the power of them by whom they swear, but it is the just vengeance of sinners that punished it always the offense of the ungodly.
And so I asked earlier, does the color matter? Yeah, it matters, right? Because we're not worshiping. If you worshiping Christ in spirit and truth, then you should have no problem with the Bible saying hair wool. We can't make that spirit. Oh, he was in the spirit, man. So that's it. But remember, he said one looked like the Son of Man, right? So this was something that he was already familiar with. It was something that he was already used to seeing. All right. And so we can't have this racial bias because we see something in the text that we don't like. And that goes for Israel and Christian alike. We got to stop playing with the text because of our own prepositions. Right? If the Bible say hair wool, man. It shouldn't be no big deal. If color don't matter, then you shouldn't have a problem to perceive him in an image, or if he could be black. That shouldn't be an image. If it didn't matter, then you wouldn't say it didn't matter. You would say, well, that's who he is. I'm gonna worship him anyway. Y'all brothers got anything to say about what the brother just read, Wisdom of Solomon 14, and that idol, man, and let's get that real quick before we end, man. Let's get that in. That's Acts real quick. Let's get Acts 15 real quick, Bubba Kashah, because Wisdom of Solomon went into this idol worshiping, and so it's problematic. If you're in any kind of form of Christianity, you have to acknowledge the fact that Christianity into idol worshiping. They into idolatry. You have to acknowledge that. You have to acknowledge that Easter have nothing to do with laying eggs. Even if you say that's when Christ rose, it had nothing to do with bunnies, man. It have nothing to do with laying eggs. Bunny don't even lay eggs, man. All right. And so Christmas, oh well, I just do it, man, because that's the day they say Christ was born, man. What it got to do with a Christmas tree and Santa Claus and all this other nonsense, man? Like we gotta stop fooling ourselves. No, we try to talk ourselves into being wicked, and we gotta stop doing that. So give me Acts 15 and let's start at verse 18. We're gonna stop at 21. Acts 15 and 18. Stop at 21.
It's the book of Acts, chapter 15, verse 18. Known unto God are all his works from the beginning of the world. Wherefore my sentence is that we trouble not them which from among the Gentiles return to God, but that we write unto them that they abstain from pollution of idols, and from fornication, and from things strangled, and from blood.
So Shlaka, that's it, brother. The water. And so when we understand the same thing that Wisdom of Solomon saying, that the making of idols is the beginning of spiritual fornication. And here it is, even in the book of Acts, it's telling if you believe you're a Gentile or Israelite alike, it's saying, but we that we write unto them that they abstain from pollution of idols and from fornication and the things strangled and from blood. And so if you into Christianity, you got to get out of that. You got to get out of the pollution of idols. You got to get out of and Sunday worship, man. Sunday worship was created for a day of idolatry. It was created for that purpose of idol worship. When you get into Constantine, and he was a sun worship, he believed in sun worship. He really, they say he was a Christian, but he was a pagan Christian. He was very pagan in his origins. So a lot of these things was created worshiping other gods, right? And so, y'all brothers got any last words of exhortation before we get out of here? Any things y'all want to add to it?
Nah, man, good class. I could I was thinking this is a little outside of it though, but you know what you said earlier, and I agree that a lot of those ships from West Africa, majority, I've seen when people say majority went to South America, the Caribbeans, and with that methodology and the methodology that we use, we'll have to say them folks are Judites.
Good.
We had to say them folks Judites. But I yield, man. That was just something for us to just something to think about. I ain't really.
Yeah, man. And look, man, we have to do more research. You know what I mean? It's no doubt about that. Like, you know, and really a lot of it just speculation. To be honest with you, I mean, we understand what the text say. You know, and we can't say that everything is black and white. A lot of this stuff gonna take faith. You ain't gonna be able to pinpoint it through the text alone or through archaeological or historical events, because there's a lot of moving pieces. So I get your point, brother. Brother Michael, what do you think, brother? Anything you want to add to it, brother?
Nah, I was just sitting here thinking, you know, same man, he's the ultimate counterfeiter. You know, anything that the Most High tell her is opposite. The scripture tell her Christ was a black man and the father. No, saints say he white. We for to keep the Sabbath. No, saints say Sunday. So it's always something different, man. It's always the opposite. That's why I say we live in a world of duality, man. What's good is bad, and what bad is good. But I hear.
Yeah, and that's what the job is. The job is to, you know, the scripture says, "Woe unto those that's called bad, good, and good, bad." Right, and so this is what happens. But in order to serve the Most High, you got to prepare your soul for temptation. Right, we got to know. The more we get into the text, it gonna bring one more. Let me get one more precept real quick, and I'm gonna end with this. One of the first, not first, but one of the texts I fell in love when I first came into this truth, man. And I didn't understand it then, but I do understand it now. Let me get out in Ecclesiastes real quick. One of the texts that I kind of, you know, I can relate to, man. I'm sure that all you brothers and sisters that's getting into this truth, you probably can relate to it as well. This Ecclesiastes, man, 1 and verse 17, and it says, and I gave my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceive that this also is a vexation of spirit. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increases knowledge increases sorrow. And that's what it is, man. When you increase knowledge, you're going to increase sorrow, man. But I pray that this thing was edified, man. You know, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, man. And also Brother Phineas on Brother Phineas channel, on Brother Phineas, Prince of Israelites. We on there every Wednesday at 7:30, man. So if it's nothing else, man, shalom, family. Y'all have a blessed and wonderful Shabbat. Shalom.
Shalom, family.